Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Better Together podcast. I'm Shawn Sundsvold, joined as always by my partner in life and business, Kelly Sundsvold. This podcast is built on real stories, the kind that go beyond the highlight reel and into the moments that shape who we become as entrepreneurs and as people. And today's guest is someone who embodies that courage and honesty in a very powerful way. We're honored to welcome Denise Ellis, founder of Crown Consulting and one of the most trusted guides for dental practices across the country. What makes Denise's journey remarkable is that she never set out to work in dentistry. She was thriving in the corporate world, even helping lead major national marketing initiatives when one unexpected opportunity shifted everything. She stepped in to help a struggling dental practice and discovered she had an extraordinary gift for bringing clarity, calm, and hope to dentists who often feel overwhelmed, isolated, and under immense pressure. What started as just helping became a calling that came naturally to her, and one that was so big that even leaders from one of America's largest dental service organizations asked how she instinctively understood their work. Today, Denise works with practices nationwide, helping dentists breathe again. She gives them tools, systems, and confidence, but more importantly, she gives them hope. Sometimes that even means flying across the country on her own dime to spend a full day with a doctor simply because she knows what that hope can spark. Her story is one of service, resilience, and choosing to rise in life's hardest moments. And we're grateful she's here to share that with us today. Denise, welcome to the show. I am so glad you're here and excited for this conversation.
Thank you. Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, Shawn. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So let's kind of start at the beginning here. Your path into the dental world wasn't planned at all, like at all, right? You
No,
came
no.
from,
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. And
okay,
that was it. I'm a doctor, I'm a doctor, I'm a doctor. And so in high school, we were able to shadow, and I went to the emergency room, and not anything happened the entire day. Not even like a broken finger, nothing. And the people were like, I've never seen this happen. I'm like, great. I don't get to see anything. And the very last thing that happened right before I was ready to leave is a woman came in, and she was vomiting is the nice way of saying it, violently. And I guess I inherited that from my grandfather. And I saw that and I heard it and I was like, done. No more dental, no more doctor. That's it. I'm out. But no one told me about dental. And I so wish that they did, because if I knew then what it would be like to be a dentist, I would have been a dentist in 2 seconds. It was absolutely amazing now that I see it. And just, you're right, it was like a calling that kind of found me. It overtook me. But I lived in the corporate world my entire adult life. I loved every bit of it. I loved, climbing the ladder and linking the arms and doing the fun stuff, team building and things like that, but really like having a purpose and a cause. That was my biggest thing. So when this opportunity happened, it was a headhunting. He called me and we talked for an hour and 20 minutes on the phone, which I've never done with a headhunter ever. And my friend was there and I got off the phone and she's like, what was that? And I said, well, this guy was talking. She goes, but for that long? I go, how long was it? I didn't even realize how long it was. So he calls me the next day and he's like, how about an interview? And I'm like, Dean, you're in Syracuse, I'm in Florida. And he's like, nope, I already booked my flight. And I was like, wow,
wow.
okay. So I said to my then fiance, I said, I think I at least should talk to him, right? And he's like, yeah. And then they gave me the information, it was at the Holiday Inn. DJ said, I'll go with you. I'll just sit in the car. And I'm like, it's a good idea. So I went in there and I met him, very nice. And he said, yeah, I had the most unique interview I've ever had in my entire life. And he said to me, Denise, what would you say if you're sitting across from this people and they've got, say, $5,000 worth of work, and they look back at you and they go, well, I either pay for my teeth or I put food on the table or gas in my car. What would you say to that? And it just kind of took my breath away, because I haven't heard that before, right? I'm from New York, and up north, you go to the dentist, you go to the eye doctor. It's just kind of a normal thing. And I notice more in the South, it's not. It's not something that's instilled, right? It's a learned behavior more down here. So I was just kind of sat back and I go, people say that? And he goes, yeah, people say worse than that, Denise. And
Mm.
I go, okay, well, I guess the thing I would say was, well, you're not going to work anyways because you're miserable. So you're not earning the money. you're not putting the gas in and you're not putting the food on. Why don't we at least get you out of pain? And then we'll work from there. And so at that point, he just kind of looked at me and then he started throwing different scenarios. And it was like an hour, just like, it become comical, actually, to be honest with you. It's not a comical situation, but it became comical in the interview. And I walked out of it and I told DJ and everything, and he's like, okay. And the next day they offered me a job, and I was like, I'm not even looking, for a job. And it was like from here where I was to like here, huge step backwards in the corporate ladder as well as monetarily, but I couldn't shake it. There's just something about this I could not shake. And he said, if you want to do it, try it. So I called the VP at the corporation I was working at the time in the marketing, and I kind of sensed that there was some kind of outsourcing going on. And I got it when they were like, I can never confirm nor deny. And that those are the words of death. It's like the kiss of death in
The
Italian.
words of death, yeah.
You're done, right? It's an Italian thing. It's the same thing in the corporate world. I can never confirm nor deny. So I said, okay, there's my answer. So I did. And this office was from a dental service organization. And at that time, there was maybe about 150 practices that they had, and first time ever in Florida. So no one knew who they were in Florida. And this one was the bottom of the barrel. I mean, when you ranked, it was the very last one. And I was like, well, the only way I can go is up, right? So the doctor hurt himself in the first 3 months that I was there.
Wow.
No.
I ended up with 19 temp doctors in a year. It was insane, absolutely insane. I don't know how many times I walked out that back door and I called DJ and I said, I can't do this. This is crazy. Like, this isn't how corporate works. This isn't how things work. And he's like, okay. And then I would come home at 8 or 9 o'clock at night and he's like, what happened? I saw these patients and I'm like, I can't leave them with this type of person. But it was the training ground. Through every trial comes a triumph, right? We don't want to hear it while we're in the trial, but when we look back is when we realize what we really got out of it. And what I learned, most office managers learn how to go in there and type a couple of things in and maybe show a treatment plan. I learned how to read an x-ray. I learned how to know why it makes sense to have certain procedures. What's the role in the area? How do you protect your patient? All that came through these trials. And let me tell you, I had some crazy temp doctors and I had a couple that were like the best. And I mean, not as in the best as in they were clinically well. I mean, just fun. And I'll give you 2 quick examples. So 2 of my favorite people were, one of them was so desperate as a temp, and that's why you're a temp dentist. Let's just be honest. And nothing wrong with temp dentists. Some are more want to be semi-retired, and that's fine. But generally, it's because they don't hold a job well, unfortunately. He would go to the back and he would get the instruments and he would come to the front. And by the way, where the front computer was directly across from my office. He would try to sell them on eBay to make money. And I'm like, what are you doing? Go put him back, please.
Oh, no.
So he would go put him back and then he'd wait a couple hours and he'd try it again. And I was like, no, we can't do this. And then the other one he was the sweetest old man. He's like 105. He wasn't truly, but he was. And they came, and the first time they came, they go, we can't find him. Like, the patient's been waiting in a chair for like 15 minutes. We don't know where he is. And I'm like, well, did you look in the break room? Did you go outside? All these different places. And they're like, no. So I got up and we start looking and we're going in. And there it was in the break room in the corner is where we kept all the electrical, right? So I opened the door and there he was in the wheelchair, sound asleep.
Oh my gosh.
Anytime that became the joke, anytime we couldn't find him, I go to the electrical room. He's taking a nap.
Gosh.
But he was a good dentist, though. I have to give it to him for his age and everything. He just needed a little rest.
Yeah.
But that went on for about a year. And then I was to get a doctor who just graduated, and usually those are tough, right? Because they're learning their footing. He came from the Air Force, so I thought, okay. And then he comes into the office the day, and he was supposed to be the savior doctor, right? Like for all the mess that we've gone through, this is going to be the one. And he comes in, and I'll never forget it. He brought his, I can't say it in the frame. So his diploma that's normally this size, you can't see my frame, but my arms are stretched out. He had that thing blown up like the size of
Wow.
the Empire State
My
Building.
goodness.
He brought his entire family in, kids, wife, aunts, uncles, moms, dads, all, and we're taking photos throughout the entire thing, right? We're standing with the diploma, they're standing over here, the new baby in the hand, and I go, this is my savior? Like this is supposed to be the one that's gonna take over and really help these patients? And I'm like, oh my goodness. So we literally butted heads for like 2 solid weeks. Just
Yeah.
butted. And he came in, it was probably, we closed at 5 and it was like about 6:30. And he popped down and he looks at me and he's got that defeated look, just slumped in his chair. And he's like, all right, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And I go, do you really want me to tell you? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I go, you sure? And he's like, yeah. So I took the screen and I just kind of moved to the thing and I go, look, I can get you to $150,000 by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you could literally close this. I could get you to $200,000 if you stay till 5, but you just need to be in the back. You tell me your times, you tell me your stuff, and let me worry about the front. Stay out of it.
Yeah.
Stay out
Yeah.
of the front. Just be the dentist. Just be who you were meant to be and what your skill set is. And he looked at me and he said, okay, I'll try it. And we made budget for the very first time ever, that office. Now granted, we made it by $600, but we made it.
But you made it.
Yeah.
We
You
eked it
made
out.
it.
And the next month we added another 25K, and by month 3 we're over $100,000, right? So he became the youngest owner in the dental service organization, and I became a regional. It was just something so natural that happened. And he's still there and he owns 8 practices. We still talk and everything. I love my dentist. I keep in touch with a lot of them because it becomes a relationship, it becomes
Yeah.
personal
Yeah.
and friendly. And because you are a part of their life, you're technically changing their life because this is affecting his entire family.
Yeah.
His livelihood, how his kids are going to grow up, where they're going to go to college, and vice versa, right? So and I think that's what we kind of lose in this consulting world is we think that we're doing them a favor.
Mm.
Yes, and we are helping, but we're serving. And I think we have lost as a society the word service. We're meant to serve people. That's what we came on this earth for. It's in various different ways, right? Some serve as a dentist, some serve as bringing some chaos to the dental world. Some serve as, thank God, picking up my garbage because I can't stand the smell of it, right? Everybody has something, their talents that they do. And we just need to remember that that's where it is. We're not doing people favors. We're just being human.
Yeah. Yeah. So, not coming from the dental world, you were coming from a completely different industry. At what point did you realize, or was this the point that you realized that dentistry kind of came natural to you and that you understood the world in a way that you didn't even expect?
There was a gentleman named Brian. I loved this man. He came in and he was new office development. So anytime they built a practice, he was in charge of it. So this practice was already built, but he came in to check on it because it was at the bottom of the barrel. So we just started talking and I'm like, look, I'm from up north. I get it. Like, I get that people understand what goes on and that they understand health up there, but they don't here. It's Florida. If the sun's shining, people don't even go to work. They go surfing, they go lay on the beach, and they don't care. Like it's not like a thing, I mean, it's kind of an accepted thing. I think more so it's since COVID things have changed, but at that point in time before, it was just like very lackadaisical.
Yeah.
And I said, what you're doing in New York isn't going to fit in Florida. If you want to attract patients, if you want to, you know, market, because that's kind of what I was doing before, it's not the same message. It's got to be a completely different message. So he looked at me and he's like, give me a minute. And I saw him and he went talking and everything. And he came back and he's like, okay, well, I just talked to the owner, which was his childhood friend, by the way. And he's like, yeah, we're going to try it. So we, at that point, tried a couple of different things and it just started sticking. So he was like, what do you call it? My mentor. He was the one that touted me to other people. Listen, let Denise, give her a chance, right? I'm telling you. And he looked at me and we started, doing a couple things and things were working well. And he came up and he grabbed the back of the chair and he leaned the chair over because that was like one of his famous things he would do, and just lean the chair over. And he looked at me and goes, how do you know this? And I go, I don't know. I really
Wow.
don't know. I said, it just seems natural. Like, to me, it falls into place. Like, thinking, most people are like, oh, when they sit down and they hear the different procedures and stuff, like, it's really just common sense.
Yeah.
No offense. I want them all to know that they went to school and they spent all that money for good reason, and then you should go to school. But a lot of it is common sense. Like, if you think about it, you're going and you're getting a filling where they're putting a cement on your tooth, but you're not going to clean it. When you build a house, do they not clear the land before they pour it? Because it sets the right foundation, right? So if you kind of pull that back and you have those conversations with patients like that, it's a no-brainer. And that's what I think the dental world misses so much. And that, can be an offshoot on so many things, but we don't present well to the patient. We don't say things like that to where it makes them understand it, because really it's their health. We have to think about this is their health. It's not like they woke up and go, it's Disney World. Let me run to the dentist's office today.
Right.
If they're here, they're coming for a reason and they want a solution, they want an answer, and they want someone to lead them across that street to get them where they need to go, right? So that's, I think, what we lack, and that's what I teach a lot, because it's not, I'd love to say that I'm like the Einstein of dentistry. I'm not. It's common sense. It's just really, it's not rocket science. It's just taking a different mind shift of I'm serving somebody, I'm going to do what I need to do to get them healthy, and I've got an arsenal of things. Let me run through my arsenal to help you.
So I love all the tools, right, that you're giving to people. And I think one of the things that you mentioned when we first talked was, how dentists are often overwhelmed, burned out, and facing just enormous, enormous amounts of pressure.
Yes.
So how did you first learn that, just how heavy that burden was for them and, when you got going in this?
So I stayed at this company for almost 9 years. I loved it. I loved the idea. We were making America healthy. We did that whole corporate linking arms. Like, to me, it couldn't have gone any better, right? I had the corporate world and I had the ability to change people's lives. So dentistry to me is just absolutely a no-brainer. And I don't think I would ever retire, in all honesty, because it fulfills me. During this time, though, we had a dentist, the first dentist, there was two, unfortunately, but this first dentist, it was a lot of pressure when you come out of dental school. So I'm just going to paint the picture real quick. They come out about anywhere, depending on where they go, $3,000 to $5,000 worth of debt. Okay, just student loan.
Yeah.
Then you go and you're touted while you're in dental school. You need to own a practice. You need to, this is your job. It's kind of the old school dental mindset of like the 50s and 60s. You don't go work for a dental service organization. Don't do this, blah, blah, blah. So they come out. Lease is going to be an easy $250,000. Okay. A chair is going to cost you anywhere from 10 to 20. Your x-ray is 25 to 40. Okay. You have not bought one elevator or, one set of pliers. You've not hired one person, and not anybody's walked through the store yet, right? And so you like, I'm stuck. Everybody wants to use their insurance. True. Everybody does. It's the world that we live in. So we sign up for insurance, but insurance knows that. And every year they tick it down a little bit less and less
Mm,
what they reimburse the doctors. It's pretty criminal, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because the only ones who are getting rich is the insurance companies, definitely not the doctors. I know a lot of people come in and go, oh, I'm paying for your car out there, huh, doc? If you only knew how many of you it takes to even make a car payment for this doctor is amazing, right?
yeah.
So we're like, what? We're close to 1 million right there. And we haven't had anyone walk through the door. So this is going on at month after month, day after day. So it becomes so overwhelming that they're like, what do I do? So then they try to do it all. They try to be the one that negotiates the insurance fees. They try to be the one that answers the telephone. They're going to be their own hygienist, right? All the while they're working on this patient. Am I going to be able to pay the dental assistant that's standing next to me? Is the insurance check going to come in? Did this patient actually pay the money? Did I even tell them what they should pay? And most of them don't understand it. So they bill them. And then honestly, you're getting like about 35% once you bill somebody that's actually going to pay it, unless you take it that day of or prior. So it's just so much. We got a call that a dentist was missing, hadn't showed up, and we went looking for him and we found him, and he took his own life.
Oh my gosh.
It was like one of the most devastating things, because it was a young person who
Yeah.
had so much life left in them and so much that they could have gave, but they lose hope. That's what it is. It's in the world. Once somebody loses hope, it's so hard to get it back. And that hit me so hard. And later on, I knew a second one that did the same thing,
Wow.
and a dental assistant as well.
My
So
gosh.
I was like, something's got to give. Something's got to give for these people. And I was helping some of them on the side that were wanting to open their own practices. And the second one's like, okay, I'm not taking any more advice. Start your own business. You need to start your own business. And I'm like, no, no, no. And they're like, nope, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. So I kind of did, but this was my full time. This is what I was going to do. And I didn't do anything that was contradictory, to the thing. But I realized how much it really does help them, right? And a couple years ago, I sat back and I kind of assessed, as we all did after COVID, right? Your life, where are you
Right.
going? My husband was a critical care flight paramedic, so service is kind of in our blood. And he flew to Alaska all the time, and I would be flying different places. And I was like, you know what? I've done well for these dentists, and I've done well for these companies, tens of millions of dollars for the companies. It's time to leave a legacy for my family
Yeah.
and do what's right for my family and still continue to help the dentist. So I talked to DJ and I went in full time and I pulled it back up and I was like, that's it. You know, no, I cut all the strings, cut all the safety nets and jumped in full force, and I haven't looked back. And I love the fact that when I wake up, it's not an agenda that somebody else created for them.
Right.
I get to go in and walk out and teach them how to be an entrepreneur of their own business based on their own desire of what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. Because not everyone is an entrepreneur. Shifting a little bit, like that was a really heavy section for sure. Like I had no idea, not being in the dental world. You carry an emotional weight of helping people. And I can hear in this conversation, and it's in a high stress field. There's a lot of variables here. How do you protect your energy and stay grounded while supporting others? Because like we've had we've had at least 2 conversations so far with you, and you're just the most genuine, authentic, grounded person. How do you do that while you're supporting these others?
It's my faith. It's God. I cannot give credit to anywhere else. The things that I've had to walk through in my life, the things I've seen, I can't say I could have made it without my faith in God. And I think that falls through and comes through. And I believe that's where the service comes in and understanding the word service. I mean, he served his disciples, So that's kind of like it should be our mantra, what we do for other people. Imagine what the world would be like if we even if a quarter of the people kind of had that mind shift, right?
Yeah.
How much better our life would be. So I'm super grateful. I'm so thankful. And I believe that God has led me through all the different paths, learning the different things. And when I said earlier, talking about you have your triumphs out of trials, that doesn't come lightly. It doesn't come from, well, I read it out of a book, and I think that's a great tagline to say.
Yeah.
It has been through the mud and dirt and sweat and tears. But when I wake up and I see that light bulb go off in that dentist's eyes, or someone I'm training in the office, and I see a patient who is like crying because they can't believe what they look like now, or giving them a confidence to do what they want, nothing better.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. The other stuff melts away. and you're like, this is why I do what I do every single day.
Yeah. That's so amazing. I know, as we've talked about this a little bit, when you started Crown Consulting, it was sort of like the side hustle a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what kind of gave you the courage to finally take the leap to really make this your full-time gig?
I just felt like, okay, so everybody's into self-help and stuff, right? You got the
Yeah.
Tony Robbins of the world and all this stuff, which by the way is fantastic. I listen to him too, but everything has like you're supposed to schedule a lot of things, right? So that you can
Mm-hmm.
get more stuff done. So I'm like, I'm going to schedule because I'm kind of like, I can be spontaneous in my life, right? I love to have fun and play off things, but there's some things that should really be structured. So I said, I'm getting up early. I'm gonna, do my devotionals and read and I really felt urged while I was doing that of, look, there's shiftings coming. Shift to your family. Start shifting to your family.
Mhm.
So that's what it really was. It was, to me, was the unction that I felt that God was leading me to do it. Was it scary? 100%. I took a mastermind class for a year while I was doing it my very first year. I was still had a great couple of clients, which was awesome. Generally, you don't have that when you're doing the mastermind, but I knew then it was the next level. And we're in a point of our business right now where it's just scaling, and I'm grateful. And I really feel like there's a lot of different avenues that we can take this to where we can help multiple people. And when I mean multiple, like, I know this is lofty, but you know what? I'm not one to shy away from like great goals. I want to help a million people. I want to help a million people. I want them to get the care that they need, whether it be the doctors understanding their life and getting out of it what they want, whether it's a patient actually getting the oral health that they need and then being able to have the strength and the stamina to live their life without fear. That's it. That's what I'm doing. That
Yeah.
it could be globally. I don't care. I don't really care where the million people come from, but I want to do it because you know what? It's infectious. Once
Mhm.
one people feel or somebody feels that, they want to make somebody else feel that because it makes them feel good. So can you imagine just the snowball effect that we can have with something like this? Like, I have all these crazy things going in my head, and I see all the visions and stuff, so I'm so excited that that's where we're going with this. And like avenues like this gives me the opportunity to say things, so I truly do appreciate this.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So as you've grown Crown Consulting and you're working towards that touching a million people's lives, what's been the biggest entrepreneurial lesson that you've learned along the way?
For me personally,
Yeah.
nothing can't be fixed.
Mm.
Think we put such pressure on ourselves or projects, and if they're not perfect, then we just kind of lose it, right? And I'm going to say I'm a self-proclaimed perfectionist, so I completely live this every single day, the struggle, because everything to me has to be done in excellence. And I'm like, he couldn't fold that napkin. It took him 2 more seconds. Just fold the napkin. It's like little things like that. It just drives me nuts. But I had to learn that even though that's kind of who I am, that's not everybody. I have to meet people where they are. I have to find their strengths and their talents and not their weaknesses. Yes, I need to know their weaknesses to be able to understand it, but the only thing I'm doing with this weakness is finding somebody else that's their strength to counteract it. Because there's a book called The Strength Finders. I love this book.
Yes.
And we've read so many different things, different places and corporates always have a new thing every year. Hey, this is what we're going to do this year, kind of thing. But to me, it grounded it because you can do it in every part of your life, whether it's business or your personal, because I really feel like God gives you talents and that's what your strengths are and that's what you're good at. And we do have weaknesses because we're not perfect. But what do we do when we give a review? You didn't do this. You fell short
Mhm.
on this. So
Yeah.
here's your performance plan to help you do this, this, and this. So when you're hearing this, are you feeling good about yourself? Not really.
No.
And then you're like, okay, I can do this. This is what I want to do because I like working here. I want to be a part of this team. And you try, and then it just kind of falls back. Why does it fall back? Because you were never meant to have it to begin with, right?
Yeah.
What if your performance goes like this? Look, you know what? You are a great You can talk to patients. You can bring them down. You calm them down. This is what we're going to do. We're going to make you a patient advocate, and you're going to do the follow-up calls. You're going to sit with them if they need to hold their hand. You're going to have that thing, and you're terrible at numbers, but that's okay. I can find somebody who's good at numbers. So it's like a pie. You're putting the right pieces together to create this team. And
Yeah.
when you stretch somebody's talents, it makes them want to be better and more because they feel confident. Nobody wakes up and says, I really want to stink today.
Yeah.
But when they don't reach it out time and time again, and that's all they hear, they become disillusioned, they become disenchanted, disengaged, and guess what happens? They leave. And then it doesn't affect, it affects everybody, and it doesn't help anybody. So I really think by finding people's strengths and being able to utilize them, pull them, stretch them, people rise to the occasion, they grow with them in themselves, and it's just better for everybody.
Yeah. I love the conversation about creating a better culture in office, right? Because we've talked about the stress that's there and we all know if we've done any kind of study that stress trickles down, right? It travels through the office, right? And everybody can feel when somebody else is stressed out. So I love that you're kind of helping create better situations for all these offices and dentists find opportunities for people in their staff that want to stay there. Right. So just kind of shifting gears a little bit to look at you and what's coming up for 2026. I know you're starting a podcast of your own
I am.
next year. So what inspired that decision and, what kind of conversations are you hoping to have and to what information are you wanting to bring to your audience for that?
Sure. So an old office manager that I had hired and had actually recruited from another industry. That's kind of my forte. I find people that aren't in the dental and bring them into the dental world like me because they don't realize how much talent they have. And you know what? It's easy to train someone who doesn't know about clinical, and I say clinical in quotes because we're not clinical, but understanding that, but having the customer service portion than it is for someone who wakes up and has lived in the medical field and they go, you're 5 minutes late. Well, we have to reschedule you. Meanwhile, the kid's sick. You got stuff we had a school bus. Nobody thinks of all this stuff because guess what? They were late this morning because they got stuff behind the school bus, but they have no mercy for anybody else, right? So I love to pull from the outside because you can't teach personality. I can teach anyone to click button. I mean, for God's sakes, we taught an ape how to do sign language. We could teach someone to click a button, but I can't change somebody's personality. So
Yeah.
this person calls me out of the blue. We keep in touch. That is one thing I will say throughout that. Just hit 18 years in November in the dental field. I can say I have a good chunk of people I still talk to on a regular basis. And she was an office manager and she's, working in another place now, but she's like, would you want to do a podcast? And I'm like, and I had thought about it during my devotional times, but I was like, oh, I've always been the one that kind of sits back, and lets the other people shine and gets them all the stuff down to the nth degree, the kind of mineral water you want to drink while they're on the stage doing what they need to do, having everything done, and then got it, right? And so that's been hard. I mean, that's stretching. Talk about
Yeah.
stretching. This is where I feel like I'm being stretched, from God. But I was like, yeah, so we decided to go through it, and things have happened in her life, unfortunately, that she just can't now. But I felt like I really needed to. And one of my clients owns another business, and he goes, have you ever thought about doing a podcast and like doing
Uh,
a webinar for us? And I'm like, all right, got it.
Here we go.
Yeah, time to do it. So
Message received. Yeah.
yeah, it's called the DMD Podcast. So DMD is one of the initials that doctors have, either DMD or DDS, dental and medical dentistry, or dental doctor of science, right? So the DMD stands for Dental Mastermind with Denise.
Nice.
There you go.
And then, we'll be talking about multiple things. Like there'll be a portion where they can learn things because I want them to take away stuff, right? I want to give them nuggets that they can have. It's not about how much can you pay me or what and can I get on your payroll. It's what can I give you and how can I serve you that at some time I might talk to you again and maybe I might never, but it touches you and you are able to use it. And you know what I really, really want to get into? their life because
Yeah.
nobody asked them. Nobody asked them what do they want. When
Mm-hmm.
people come in and they talk about consultants, and I can't say all of them, please, it's a good industry. Everybody has their own thing. It's good and bad in every industry, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I see a lot is, you need to grow. You need this. Here's your guide. Go ahead and do it. We'll have a call once a week or once every other week, touch base. Well, if they could do it, they've already done it. They're
Yeah.
looking for help. It's just like the patients coming in and want the doctor to help them. The doctor's like, can you help me a little bit? I need a little help, right? So I go in and the first thing I do, besides the business analysis, I sit down with them and I go, what's your end game? And they
Yeah.
just all look at me like, what do you
Great
mean, what's my
question.
end game? And I said, what do you want out of this? Why did you get into this business? And what is that? How do you want to exit this business? It's a hard question for them because they don't ever think about it because
Hmm.
they're so wrapped up in the day to day and how do I survive? They're not thinking about why they got where they were to begin with, what caused them to get into the world, and what do they really want to get out of it. And I say, the reason why I'm doing this is because I can give you any kind of strategy.
Mm.
I can give you a cookie cutter, but what is that going to do? It's not going to change you. I have to tailor something to what you want your outcome to be, because if I do, you're going to stick to it and you're going to own it and you're going to get the wins and you're going to get the desired result that you want. If I give you a cookie cutter, guess what happens to this piece of paper? It goes on the desk just like everything else or into the trash can, right? So
Right.
I think that's a big thing, and that's what I want to talk about. What are the struggles that the dentists have? I think a lot of times, like we talked about earlier, how the dental schools still kind of have that old school pressure on them. What do I do? Do I find, other dentists that I can like mentor and be a part of? I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to, that's kind of something I'd like to do down the road too, where they don't, because they feel so isolated. Dentists are
Yeah.
so isolated. So, struggles, fun. I want to have fun. I don't want it to be like one of those informational podcasts where like they're going to school and it's in like another CE and oh my God, there's another half an hour I have to do. I want it to be fun and interactional. I want to be able to them to ask questions and anything because guess what? If they have a question, more than likely 5 other dentists have that same question or have had
Yeah.
that same scenario, right? And then they can all get something out of it. So we're gonna have fun. We're gonna learn some things and we're going to get real. And I'm pretty open. I don't know if this has anything to do with it. I always swore it did, but I'm Italian from New York. So we just kind of say what we mean and that's it. Sometimes it comes over very well. I've had to learn how to curb that a little bit. At the house, you're like, bop, bop, bop. But, when you're in the office, you have to be put a little
A little
sugar on it a
softer.
little
Yeah. A
bit
little softer.
kind of thing. But yeah, we're just going to really get into it and I'm excited about it. I'm ready to step in the front of the camera now and not be the side person and really just truly walk in who I'm supposed to be.
That's amazing. I can't wait to cheer you on and listen to your podcast when it comes out. I know you just have like a wealth of wisdom to share just from, your years of experience. So for anyone listening, and they want to get in touch with you or they're curious about Crown Consulting, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Sure. So my website is www.mycrownconsulting.com. My email is my name. So it's D Ellis, ELLIS at mycrownconsulting.com. Or you can call our office line at 3.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, Denise, thank you so much for being here. This was a fantastic discussion, and I could probably keep talking to you for another 45 minutes just because, I mean, this is just so engaging, and so we'll have to have you back again at some point to talk further. But thank you for being here today. We appreciate your time, and, thank you again for all the time. Have a great one.